To build anything that truly lasts, it takes time.
To some global stories then, Trump is continuing his tariff spree, announcing a steep 35% tariff on Canadian imports starting August 1 and warning that it could climb if Canada strikes back. In a letter to Mark Carney, Trump also threatened blanket tariffs of 15 to 20% on most other trading partners. The move extends his aggressive trade war strategy, already hitting Japan, South Korea and copper exports. Trump made it clear not everyone would get a formal notice, saying simply that we are just going to say all remaining countries are going to pay. Global markets brace for the impact. And the number of people filing for fresh unemployment benefits in the United States declined by 5,000 to come in at 227,000 in the week gone by. This figure is the lowest that we have seen in the last 2 months. Initial jobless claims, in fact, fell for the 4th consecutive week. Remember that the previous week also included the US Independence Day holiday. Meanwhile, continuing claims rise to 1.97 million in the June 28 week, which is still the highest that we have seen since late 2021. And the US Federal Reserve is moving to loosen the reins on big banks, proposing a new definition of what it means to be a well-managed bank. Under the draft plan, banks with one deficient rating could still qualify, easing restrictions on activities like acquisitions. Federal Vice Chair Michelle Baumann calls it a pragmatic fix, but critics, including former Vice Chair Michelle Barr, warn it could undermine safeguards and heighten seismic risk for the company. The White House is turning up the heat on Fed Chair Jerome Powell. President Trump's budget chief Russell Watt slammed Powell for gross mismanagement of the Federal Reserve and accused him of misleading Congress over a lavish $2.5 billion headquarters renovation, nearly $700 million over its budget. The attack signals a fresh escalation in Trump's battle with Powell, which had resisted calls to slash rates. And the U.S. economy remains a good place, says St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musaliam, but warns that upgrade risk to inflation continue to remain. While calling the Fed's policy modestly restrictive, he adds that the financial conditions remain supportive of growth even as tariffs and dollar depreciation could push inflation higher. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says Europe is struggling and the global economy remains deeply challenged. While praising Trump's support for Ukraine, he added that the focus should be on strengthening Europe alongside the United States. He also warned that tariffs, immigration policies, and deficits are fueling inflation and described economic data as totally impossible to read. He also called out Europe's competitiveness woes, noted that Ireland's appeal for companies, and criticized London's weak IPO market. JP Morgan is also weighing a shake-up of its flagship emerging market bond index, potentially cutting China and India's weight to make room for smaller and higher-yielding issuers. The proposed tweak could lower the country cap from 10% to 8.5%, boosting yields but also risks for the $200 billion of funds tracking the benchmark. A similar plan last year to slash China's share was scrapped. And a federal judge has blocked Trump's order restricting birthright citizenship in the United States, using a class action loophole to sidestep a recent Supreme Court ruling that limits nationwide injunctions. The judge sided with immigrant rights groups, allowing the lawsuit to proceed on behalf of all affected children that were born in US. The ruling is on hold for a week to allow appeal. And Uniqlo's parent, Fast Retailing, is bracing for a tariff storm. The Japanese giant warned that Trump's new tariffs will also start biting its United States business later this year, forcing price hikes to offset the pain. The retailer also posted a weaker than expected third quarter profit, missing estimates, but stuck to its full year guidance. Uniqlo's CFO admitted it will be tough to absorb all extra costs related to higher tariffs. And a major global outage left Microsoft Outlook users locked out of their email accounts for nearly 11 hours, disrupting access across web, desktop, and mobile phones. The problem also hit millions worldwide, with login errors and severe failures flooding social media. Microsoft blamed this to a failure in its mailbox infrastructure, possibly linked to authentication glitches. An Italian confectionery giant Ferrero, famous for Nutella and Ferrero Rocher, is making a $3 billion deal in the US breakfast aisles. It is acquiring WK Kellogg, which is the maker of Fruit Loops and Frosted Flakes, to expand its North American footprint. The deal marks a 31% premium and has already sent Kellogg shares soaring. It is set to close in late 2025. And Trump is set to host NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang at the White House today as NVIDIA celebrates a historic milestone of becoming the first company to close above $4 trillion market cap. The meeting's agenda remains unclear, but NVIDIA has been battling Trump's tough export controls on AI chips, which have collectively shut it out of China's $50 billion market.
All right, then.